Marshall, first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes, which should be the first thing here on the right-hand side of your page behind the agenda.
I would entertain a motion. Accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, debate? Any edits necessary? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Next. Old business. All right.
Yes.
Inventory report, Thursday, State Official.
Yeah. This is that Jerry, which is not here right now, had done some work on nuclear-related companies and education programs, which is in your packet. Is the next two items. If you'd been here, I would be able to answer any questions for you. David also had his team go through and do a more extensive dive on some of these things, which I was going to give them an opportunity to explain what this next part of your packet is here.
Well, this work is pulled together over the course of 2 or 3 days. We've established a database that's also linked to Google Maps. And we've got pin drops and mouse over capability that lists every private, governmental, and state institution in Virginia that we think has something to do with nuclear power. It's a pretty impressive list if you just peruse it there and include the what the presence is, how many employees there are in Virginia, and what their annual revenue is. You can take time to look at it at your leisure, and we can provide copies of the software so that people can use it in a more usable computerized form. This is, when you start to look at it, it's a pretty amazing list of companies and states.
And as far as sending this out, I'll be happy to send it out so that you can see see how the map features. David's team really did some deep work there. I mean, I'm so I'm behind the curve on this stuff that it took me like a week to figure out how to download Chrome so that I could actually view it. This team did a fantastic job with this, and I'll send this out today when I get back to the office.
So it's just to me, this is really terrific and valuable. And part of what I'm thinking is that we kind of need to capture this in a way that we can let people know what's here. That summarize the findings in terms of employees, dollar value, things like that. Highlight some of the various programs, the diversity of the industry, the educational programs, and so forth. And then put it in some fashion where certainly people can, if they're comfortable with that, link to this, to do it sort of online, maybe we need a website. But also, I can also envision just a little bit of a news release, something that would get in the hands of state policymakers, legislature, and others, saying this is what this industry is in the state.
So it turns out that this work was compiled about 2 days prior to the governor coming to visit Montana and exposed to the policy.
Great. So I think we just got to keep that going.
Well, I was just going to say, first of all, thank you, because this is exactly why we formed this group. And
right.
what we suspected was the fact of the matter, and I'm delighted to see that we were right. But I'd be happy having being familiar with that one-page bulleted, here's why you should care about us kind of style of summarizing things. I'd be happy to take a shot at that.
Sure.
Using this.
Sure.
Just kind of figuring out how to group it, what the total number of employees is, sort of that high-level summary.
The USA Today.
Yeah.
The McDonald's
Snapshot.
news kind of version.
Snapshot.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And
Legislators.
Yes. Exactly.
I can envision doing all kinds of things with this, making sure that our friends at the Nuclear Energy Institute know about it and others. This is
It's a tremendous first asset for us.
Yeah. All right, so you're on. Well, thank you.
I will take it back.
Great, David. Thank you.
It'll be fun.
We'll thank Gary when we get to see him, but nice work. Very good. Yeah, this is terrific. Okay, what do we got next? Consortium member recruitment.
Well, I'll start off with that. The reality is the number of us that met, as you can see by
about a meeting minutes, where we actually met on June 9th, and we had a discussion. We looked at how we would move forward and where we would stand. This is part of the meeting minutes that you approved, Mr. Chairman, and the rest of the board. Is that we discussed outline for the paper of the future nuclear power in Virginia, which is attached, which we can use as leverage, and the information all provided here is very, very beneficial for that, for any policymakers, both within Virginia and outside of that. But we were trying to identify how the potential founding board members should be both identified, what their commitments and their benefits should be. And as you can see, we actually came up with a sort of a graded approach, that we would do founding board members for profit. It would be so much for 3 to 5 years, acknowledging that this would be an activity where we would have a 1-year engagement and then a review based on our performance. Recognizing people were not, they're not going to necessarily feel comfortable to commit to something over a 3 to 5 year period. Indeed, there was no guarantee, or if you will, some sense of realization that this indeed was going to be successful. So we had the ones for profit, the ones for non-profit, which ended up being the same after a lot of discussion. We thought we could do that. We thought that funding would be great for the facilitation of our activities related to our organization, fundraising, and executive director, or some type of position like that, and other staff as required. So we discussed the messaging, how that should be structured, what we should do. We discussed the targets and made commitments on how we would reach out to folks before our July 23rd meeting. And then we had open comments. But during that discussion, we identified a number of different entities and organizations. And if you come, there is a list of several in here. First of all, you guys will see this that was created, which is really the beginning of Economic Development Partnership. You can find the following companies involved in nuclear power physics research, and it gave us some sense of the kinds of companies that we all expected we would be identifying as those that would be target activities for this consortium board members. And then there were other studies that were done also about the institutions of higher learning and all the different universities that were here and the different kinds of labs and organizations that were appropriate for us to be asking. And then after we made the list, and I don't see that here, although it was in some stuff I sent you, where is that? No, I gave you a list of who was assigned to what. Okay, so there, that's right. All right, I've got it on mine. That's where I did. I left it in mine. I have a bad habit of keeping a lot of minutes and things, so what we had was a list of who would go and speak to who, and I wanted to get some kind of update, if I could, from those particular members. Why don't we hear this one? Do you mind?
Interrupt my apologies for the moment.
So, we can either, maybe the best thing to do is just start around the table instead of starting with me, however you guys want to do it, or I can just go ahead and start so that I'm on the top of the list. All right, I reached out to Bechtel and spoke to them, and I have an agreement to commit to possibly do this. They're going back to the board to ask for the $25,000 for the 1 year, which would be the 1 year of trial membership. I've explained to them the benefits and whatnot. I utilized a lot of the information that we all discussed, and they saw the benefit not only to the state and also the industry, but I portrayed it as a benefit of a number of different levels, as I'm sure you did too. I talked about how it benefited the state of Virginia and all of the citizens in the state. Also how it benefited the nuclear science technology industry, and more specifically the nuclear energy industry in the sense of supporting all the activities we were doing in research, development, education. And I talked about how that supported Bechtel's success in the future related to its coordination and integration with all the institutions and organizations that they are now or would be working with. So I tried to make it a multi-layered success path, and they concurred with that. The American Nuke Society, I approached them also since I wasn't president until the end of this June. I'm now the immediate past president, and they have agreed to get engaged. I cannot tell you that they're going to get engaged at the $25,000 level simply because of their financial position, but they have agreed to get engaged, and I've got a proposal through the executive committee that will be going to the board in August. I also am going to commit my company to being engaged in this activity, and I reached out to Toshiba, and I did not get a response back yet from Toshiba, so I don't have their answer yet.
All three of the ones that I have responsibility for are in.
Great.
I had Reva, I talked to Jim Furrow and Caroline Rita and Gary and I owe Gary some follow-up information, but they're all in for the first year. The governance doesn't allow them to sign up for 4 years, but they're all in for the first year.
So that's Ariba, BMW, and GE Hitachi Date?
Correct.
Outstanding. Okay, so with that, Bechtel essentially saying yes, and yes to a smaller extent, so I'll put down a check on that. So, and I'll wait for Toshiba. Great, thank you, sir. Sam?
So I reached to Urenco, and so far I have not gotten a response from them. I reached to Best Medical Systems. They are very excited, and I am in conversation with a person that had reached to Newfoundland Shipbuilding, but I haven't heard anything back, so I don't know if you have any more information, Jennifer, or not.
No, I think we were certainly, we've been talking about it, and I think one of the questions was sort of the focus of the consortium, the balance between, governance and research, and so I'm sure we'll consider it as soon as.
Okay. I also reached to George Mason University. They were enthusiastic. They were not very sure that the financial commitment was going to be possible, but certainly we were going to talk about it. I have a meeting with higher people in CU later this week on Friday, so I'm very sure what this news says.
And even if some of them aren't immediately willing to say yes, and we understand there's going to be some reluctance, give me a little more, I need to go back and talk to others, I think as long as we continue pressing them, because at some point, I think there's several things we all have to recognize, and that is, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, is that as we push forward in this activity for recruitment and forming this entity and organization working with and for us, is that we have to get this up and running before we make our presentation to the legislature in November, so that we can demonstrate we've made sufficient progress for us to be an entity which is being maintained by the government of Virginia. So that's what I've been looking for, and I know all of us have been looking, okay, how are we going to structure this so we are making demonstrable progress that really demonstrates that indeed we are an entity to be seriously considered, and that we can indeed be successful and add value to the state itself. So if there's anything, as we've all said, you're not in this alone. If there's something you need from another one of us to help you, reach out to us. And some of us have secondary responsibility, but I saw your emails to VCU and to George Mason, so thank you for that. Barry?
I reached out to Rolls-Royce and talked to them about this, and they indicated that they believe this is something that should be involved in and would like to be involved in. They haven't officially committed to the $25,000 yet, but they are very interested in doing so. We're trying to set a follow-up meeting to talk about that in more detail.
What about Siemens?
I have not been able to get to the right person at Siemens yet. It's been a combination of travel issues and so forth, but I will continue to push on that.
Thank you. And how about the University of Virginia? Do you know anybody there?
I do know somebody there, and that's very positive as well. We're in the final stages of finalizing our strategic partnership program budget for this current year, and the money is in that draft budget. I'm pretty confident it's going to get through the final stages. So.
And the reason I'm asking that, remember, we said 12 to 15. So there's more than 12 to 15 on this list. So at some point where I don't want to seem like you're telling folks that it's a window of opportunity, and if you don't get in, you don't get to get in. But the reality is, once we get that 12 to 15, we're not going to keep asking. So I don't want you to sound like a used car salesman and trying to give them a sense of urgency. Hey, if you don't buy this car, the person around the corner is waiting. But I think it's important for them to acknowledge and recognize that we have a finite number of members that are going to be on this board, and that we would like them to participate. And when we get the number that we have set, we're not going to continue to, we're not going to ask for others at that point in time. Then we'll take their money, but it just may not be on the founding board. So, great. Ali is here? No, not here. Okay.
Before you move on, all the million universities you also
I had not talked to them.
Yeah, very good. Old
I did have open meeting, and she said not to
I actually have feedback for the several ones that Ollie was responsible for. MHI Nuclear Systems, they declined that Frank Gillespie is moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. They've joined a similar group down there, and they don't see the benefit here. In Virginia, they have everything. That's
Carolina
one.
clusters, my guess is Carolina big clusters.
Yeah. He also moved his plan to attend the upcoming meeting next week, which he ended up